Is that right? All right, now, I'm not really going to roast here because I want to get serious, because I'm a very serious person. I think you all know that about me. To the extent that you know me at all, you know me as a crime writer, Lydia Chan Bill Smith series, but recently I've gone in another direction, and I'm doing paranormals. Blood of the Lamb was the first one. I have a couple of copies over here, we'll rattle them later. And Blood of the Lamb, I had to do a lot of research, because it's about vampires. Now the vampires, you probably don't know this, but they call themselves no-on-tree, that's their name for themselves, vampires. And I had access to the no-on-tree archives. And I studied a lot of, stuff about vampires. And I started learning some really interesting things. For example, they're nothing like their image, which is perpetrated by the vampires in order to, put the rest of us off. For one thing, a lot of them are really good looking and perpetually youthful. They never change. You meet one, you meet him again, you meet him again. He's always the same. It's an interesting fact. They are very attractive to the opposite sex, or the same sex, of those of us who are not vampires, and they flirt all the time. And yet they're reticent about their personal lives. They don't want you to know who they are and where they came from. Well, if you're 600 years old, you might want to keep that a secret. They're generous. They're very generous, both with their time, because, they have an infinite amount of it, and with their money, because if you invested right after the War of 1812, you probably have an infinite amount of that, too. They're talented. They're good at their work, because they've been doing it for hundreds of years. Most of us have maybe 50 years to perfect your craft, and then you're gone. At 500 years, it gets a lot easier. They're also sort of superhuman in terms of production. They can just turn stuff out in whatever their chosen field, even sports, because they don't get tired. They don't have to eat. They can smoke, because it can't hurt them. And often, this is really interesting, when you meet one, wherever you are, he will present himself as having come from somewhere else. He'll be a foreigner. It's harder to trace them back then. They use false names, all the better to obscure their origins. And all of this kept reminding me of someone. I thought, I know someone like this. Who is this? And then I was invited to do this roast. But I heard that Lee was not really, enthusiastic about it until he realized, he was promised, that it wouldn't actually involve fire. And I said to myself, son of a gun, and I know that it's, there's controversy about doing this within the no-on-tree community, but I'm going to have to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. I am outing Lee Child as our own personal vampire.